Welcome to Infoversity, where information meets innovation. Produced by Syracuse University's School of Information Studies. Together, we'll explore the ever-evolving digital landscape, diving into cutting-edge topics like AI, robotics, and the future of work, one conversation at a time. This is Infoversity.
So hey everyone, I'm here with Katy Arons today, and we're going to get to know Katy a little bit more. But first I want to introduce myself. So my name is Gabriel Davila. I'm an applied data analytics major here at the iSchool, and I'm minor in computer engineering and innovation design and startups. I'm going to read a quick bio about Katy just so the audience knows a little bit more about you and your story. So Katy is actually the CEO and founder of Continual Consent, LLC. Katy created a mobile app dedicated to promoting safe and healthy conversations about consent and intimacy for young adults while she was here as a student in the iSchool. And in February 2024, she won first place at the ACC InVenture Prize Campus Qualifier at SU, earning an expense-paid trip to compete in the national finals at Florida State University. And now, Katy currently works as an analyst in the Chase Leadership Development Program at JPMorganChase, applying her entrepreneur skills to the corporate world. So now that we've shared a little bit more about you, Katy, I want to get into some of the questions that we have here for you today, and to get a better understanding of who you are and your journey. So you created your own startup called Continual while you're here as a student in the iSchool. I want to know a little bit more about what it is that inspired you to create this.
Yeah, so first off, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. Love the iSchool. So the idea behind Continual actually started all the way back in high school. So from the ages of around 12 till 20, my life goal and dream was to be a doctor. I had the opportunity to do various programs within the healthcare field, including the National Student Leadership Conference, Healthcare and Medicine, and just understand from more of a provider's perspective that whole side of it. And in doing so, I worked a lot with women and with midwives and OBGYNs, shadowing them in various countries, and that was such an incredible experience. Coming back to the States, I had the opportunity while in high school to do a couple of really cool projects in which I learned so much more about the healthcare system in America, but also the lack of support for, and research and in general for women, and especially women of color. So that kind of took me down the road. By my junior year in high school, we had the opportunity to kind of build our own apps with software that we were learning. So my idea was Student Health Helper, bringing educational resources around sex education to students. Because I had recently learned that only 26 states in the United States, plus DC, require sexual education be taught in public schools, and only 13 require consent to be taught. So that lack of information, even at a young age, is disparaging and does not set young adults up to have a productive future, especially without the proper knowledge to engage in adult situations. So I really wanted to bring that. Unfortunately, I didn't get to launch that app. But then coming to SU, I was a pre-med major and switched into the iSchool my sophomore year. And I believe it was the end of my sophomore spring, I took human-computer interaction. And we had the opportunity to I believe it was designing an app or solving a problem. And we dove into that idea a little bit more, that sexual health resources weren't really available for young adults. So building off of that, me and a team built out this idea. Similar to Continual, but very, very different. It wasn't a consent app. It didn't have any of the features that Continual holds. So once that idea was on paper, we did our presentation. I did a majority of the work. I feel like that's always a group project thing, though. I started my IDS minors fall of my junior year, and that's really what kicked off Continual. Bruce Kingma, the incredible Bruce Kingma, I should say, was probably the reason I became a student entrepreneur. I could directly link him in that class. We got to explore our creativity, understand how to identify problems and find solutions, really, and create businesses out of those solutions. Mm-hmm. So he looks and he goes, at the students, he goes, okay, everybody come up with an idea for a company. And I kind of had Continual in the back burner. So I was like, how about that? And Yeah, so one thing led to another. He pointed me towards the launch pad, and Continual took off from there. And I really got to build out the company while in the IDS courses and put that together with what I was actively learning in class. I think it was IDS 203, which focuses on the kind of back end of business, how to register an LLC, what you need for a business plan, all of like the background stuff that once you've understand how to create an idea, you can use and apply and really build out your company. So it was really a supported experience by my education through the iSchool.
Yeah, I really resonate with a lot of what you just shared. I actually started off in forensic science and psychology, and then I pivoted, like, I want to say, yeah, it was my sophomore spring semester, so it was fairly, like, right in the middle of that. And I remember, like, you know, feeling that kind of uncertainty about, like, my path and that kind of stuff. So you shared a lot of things that I really resonated. And in fact, similarly, before I knew about the iSchool, I knew about the IDS minor. And
really?
my first ever iSchool class was technically Bruce's King, the big idea, like IDS.
What's the big idea? IDS 301, which I will say the name of that class.
Yeah.
Like my friends would be like, "Oh, what class are you going to?" I go, "What's the big idea?" I would love it to be called something a little bit more professional, but that class is so much about creativity. Like it does have to have a fun name.
Yeah, it was super exciting because I think like for the first time in like college, I was given like the creative outlet to do and think about everything that came to mind.
And I think one of the biggest things about the IDS program in comparison to some other entrepreneurship programs offered at the school is IDS not only like really focuses on tech, but hones in that idea of creativity and not just, okay, so you have an idea, let's build that out, but how do you create an idea? How do you create a business? And I've really just brought that into like kind of everyday life as well.
Yeah. And do you think that like you kind of always had this entrepreneurial spirit? Because I think like even you mentioned that you started this before like you got into the space. So like what was it for you? Because in theory like you already were kind of involved in entrepreneurship. Yeah. Like it felt like it was your calling in a way.
Yeah. So unfortunately I have been an entrepreneur since I was a child. I should note, both of my parents are very successful entrepreneurs. My dad is in the food industry, started his first company doing imports and exports for restaurants. So it was actually really cool. He was like one of the first to bring in several things from Europe, and he'd work with all these incredible chefs in New York. He had a warehouse in Queens, but ended up selling that to Kraft, traveled the world, and then started a grocery store called Gourmet Garage, which he owned and operated in Manhattan for around 30 years and sold that back in 2019.
Wow.
And then my mom, my godparents, and another one of their close family friends founded Kate Spade back in 1993, I believe. And so I grew up around entrepreneurs. She ended up selling Kate Spade in 2006 and starting a new company in 2014 called Francis Valentine, which I had the opportunity to work for them a couple of times, both in their brick and mortar stores and in their offices. But really seeing my parents, especially my mom, be such a powerful entrepreneurial figure. My parents were very surprised when I said I wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
I used to sell lemonade on the beach and walk up and down with a cooler, water, and like $5 in singles, and and sell water on the beach at like 7 years old, donate some to the local animal shelter. But my dad always knew, like he always said to me growing up, like I know you're gonna have your own company, you're gonna have your own business. And over the pandemic, that did not help because I had way too many ideas and was trying to accomplish them, but didn't have that foundation. From like my first idea, like bigger like app or platform was called Seasonal, and that allows seasonal workers like college students or just people that want to work in large summer hubs where that's where you make your bang for the year for a lot of college students, being able to go and work in very popular summer locations or for the winter season, et cetera, and find housing with all of their friends and like work at local, partnering with local restaurants and stuff to get them jobs and local housing. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have the backing or the knowledge to really support that. Hopefully it comes to fruition in the future. I have a way too long list of ideas.
Yeah, but that's so incredible. Like you've been on this hustle for so long. And like I kind of want to like pivot a little and shift gears to some of the things that you were saying, because earlier you were talking about resources specifically, And I guess I'm curious, like from your perspective, how do you think the iSchool supported you in starting your business? And do you think there were any like specific resources and mentors that helped along the way? Like I know you mentioned the Launchpad, so I just want to know a little bit more about that specific journey.
So, like I said, I genuinely do not believe my company or any of the companies or ideas I've had would have gone to the extent that they did without the iSchool, without the IDS program. I wouldn't have found out about the Launchpad without Bruce Kingma. He helped me through it so much. So did all of the IDS professors. They are incredible. I would say a lot of my iSchool classes really helped to prepare me for entrepreneurship, and all of the professors I had were so incredibly supportive. It still warms my heart when like my professors would, like, just thinking back on it, my professors like coming up to me in the hallway and going like, "Good job at the ACC." Like knowing that you have that support and that so many people are rooting for you, even as a student, like knowing that professors are rooting for you, because they really do. But I would say Bruce Kingma, one of the best people here at the iSchool, very big support, as well as Peggy Talkich, the professor for IDS 344. I was her TA when I was a sophomore, but her class prepared me for life, I would say, and very much so as an entrepreneur. I gained so much more confidence in her class, public speaking experience. I think all high schoolers should take that class. Everyone on campus really should, but highly, highly suggest. And then resource-wise, I would really say the Launchpad helps a lot, but just sitting and talking with other iSchool students, I would say, is one of the biggest resources we offer. Just bouncing things off of each other, understanding ideas, concepts, and you have your specialized knowledge areas, so do other people. So being able to go to a friend who knows a lot more about like hiring freelancers. When I was looking to build out my wireframe, I would go to them and be like, hey, like any advice for this part of the process? So yeah, I would say the community here at the iSchool, Bruce Kingma, Peggy Talkich, the Launchpad, and especially Chasey Geiser over at the Launchpad. She was, I would say, one of the biggest champions, and for all student entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I'm like a little curious about you know, were there any moments where you felt like a lot of self-doubt? I mean, like being a woman in STEM and also being a woman in a business space, I imagine that it can be perhaps daunting and a little limiting. And I guess I'm just curious because I know a lot of students probably like feel a lot of self-doubt, perhaps imposter syndrome. And like, what would you say, and what did you tell yourself at the time when you felt those instances, and kind of like, you know, to help you trailblaze through?
Yeah, so I can speak, I'll talk about this from like both an entrepreneurship standpoint and also being an analyst right now, because I am the youngest person on my team.
Yeah.
So pulling it out and looking at it from, do I deserve to be here? Like, I'm nervous, like all of that self-doubt in a bigger sense. Like, do I deserve this role? Do I deserve to be in Florida representing SU? Ultimately, you do. Everything that you have done to get to that point has supported you. From that math test in 5th grade that you were like that poster, that book report, all of that to that really big test in college has supported you to this point. Only you know how hard you have worked to gain your level of success. Yeah. So every time I doubt myself, or I'll just be like, do I deserve this? Am I right for this? I just try to think back. I think about all the times I was crying over math homework. I was struggling to write that book report or that group project or X, Y, Z. All of those really hard moments led me to where I am. So I deserve to be here. And just really telling yourself that you do deserve to be here is one of the biggest things, because you are your biggest non-supporter. You're your biggest hater. Yeah. And I think we all, like, as entrepreneurs and as people, I don't think we really take into account how many people are genuinely rooting for us. Like, again, your professors, they don't want you to do poorly on that test. They don't, they want to see you thrive. They want to see you achieve. And then when it comes down to little things, like when I'm writing reports as an analyst and I'm having self-doubt, I'm like, oh, are these the correct numbers? Did I put the formula in the right way? Always go and ask. That's one great thing about being a young adult, being a young professional, especially here on campus. There are so many people willing to support you, willing to offer you that help and that, I guess, general support, and to see you succeed. and nobody will ever judge you for going to ask for help. You will get judged if you do something horrifically wrong without asking for help.
Yeah.
So really taking a break, taking a pause, being like, okay, I'm not 100% confident on this. Who can I go to talk to? Okay, super. I did this right or I did this wrong. Let me present it or let me go correct it. And yeah, so looking for support when you feel like you need it, realizing that you always have support. It might not be the people you think, but I know there's a couple of professors here. You can just walk into their office and be like, hey, so this major life thing is or my company, I have a question about this. You seem very knowledgeable. Can you help me? And realizing you've worked so hard and only you can value how hard you have worked. Yeah,
I think you just shared a lot of powerful things that I think a lot of students really have a hard time feeling and resonating. I know that I can speak to my own experiences. There's definitely been moments where I carry a lot of self-doubt, especially because I transitioned from a non-tech background. Yeah. And I did the
same.
whole
Yeah.
So there was a lot of self-doubt, a lot of fear that I wouldn't succeed and thrive in this environment. So I know that the message that you just delivered to a lot of other students and a lot of young professionals, it resonates deeply. So I really appreciate you for sharing that.
Of course.
But I guess I want to know, did you always know that you wanted to pursue entrepreneurship? I know that you mentioned you were interested in med school, but it feels like you're deeply ridden by curiosity and you're kind of drawn everywhere. So I'm curious, was there a specific moment that created that drive to create your own business?
Yeah, so I've always had that entrepreneurship bug, I will say. And 12 to 20 where my dream was med school. So I did know, it was always in the back of my mind, and during the pandemic, even before I came in, still with a pre-med mindset, I was coming up with ideas. Again, they weren't the best, and I couldn't pursue them, but just coming up with ideas and putting things on paper. Sorry, I'm trying to collect my thoughts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's actually one of the reasons I transitioned out of pre-med and came into the iSchool was to pursue entrepreneurship with a tech focus, because let's face it, tech is the best industry, but also the most rapid, the most growing, the room for most expansion and more ideas and just a thriving dynamic environment. So one, I love that. Yeah. But two, and one of the primary reasons I switched out of pre-med, unfortunately, my high school didn't offer AP classes. They did AT, which is advanced topic. So we couldn't take the AP test. So I couldn't bypass a whole bunch of the prereqs for pre-med. And I realized I don't want to do this really the next 4 years, kind of relearning, obviously learning new information, but I didn't want to focus on relearning stuff I had known. Yeah. And I really just wanted to get to that point where I could help people. That's all. I feel like I've been so incredibly privileged in my life, and I really wanted, that's why I wanted to become a doctor. I wanted to work with refugees, specifically, focusing on pediatric trauma. But so my life goal has always been to help people, and I was at a point where I was like, how can I help people the quickest? How can I make the biggest impact? And I realized switching to tech, I can not only be creative, be an entrepreneur, learn a complete new area that is, again, rapid, dynamic, growing, innovative. Yeah. Learn more about a space I have very minimal knowledge about. And so, yeah, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and definitely had it in the back of my mind. While I still have other dreams and passions, I would say the iSchool really supported me in bringing all of that together. So again, I wanted to just come into tech, make money, and help support women's research studies.
Yeah, especially because, like you said, I think in tech specifically, there's a lot of horizontal movement. You can really, depending on your field of study, right? Yeah. But even, I think most of the programs here allow you to kind of dabble in quite literally anything you're interested in.
And genuinely, I insane. Get goosebumps talking about it. Yeah. iSchool is so incredible.
Yeah. I don't want to turn really this into a hidden gem, right? It's insane. When I found out about it, when I found out about it, I was like, wow, where has this been? Yeah. Because coming from arts and science, I'm pretty sure bio is arts and science, or is it?
I was a public health major on pre-med track, so I was in folk.
Oh, okay.
So I had very minimal knowledge about, also, I kind of had minimal knowledge about Syracuse in general when I came here. I ED'd. I remember, I had toured a whole bunch of schools, but I remember walking onto this campus and I looked at my dad and I go, this is where I want to spend the next 4 years of my life. Mind you, this was 2019, pre-COVID. I was a senior in high school. There were kids on the quad throwing the football. It was game day. And sorry. You know me, I'm a yapper and a half.
I relate heavily because when I came here, I like immediately thought of Hogwarts. I was like, oh my God, like this feels very magical. The women's
building. Gosh, it's such a beautiful campus.
And I'm from Miami, so like the buildings, even the architecture of the buildings is so distinct here, and I fell in love immediately. I was like,
love for the architecture of Bird Library to change, but
no, I agree. So I guess pivoting here a little, I want to kind of like highlight winning first place in the 2024 campus qualifier competition. I know for you probably that must have been such a huge accomplishment. So how do you think that specific experience shaped your confidence as an entrepreneur, like getting like affirmed that like even with the self-doubt that you carry that this tangible thing right here is like evidence that I can do whatever
Yeah, so I participated in multiple business competitions prior to that one. I had won a few, I had lost a lot more. And so going in, I really thought about it like, it's another competition. This would be great, but my goal is to just be a better presenter. My goal is to be a better entrepreneur, to present my business as best as possible, and hopefully I get it, but it's not the end of the world if I don't. Ultimately, what I've been really trying to focus on is it's not that deep mentality. For everything from work to entrepreneurship to just little things in life, really just taking a second. There are bigger things going on. It's not that deep. And I say that now in hindsight. But with that, I think one thing is I'm a very outgoing person. I'm very overly confident, if you cannot tell. I will literally just go up to people and have a conversation on the street. So it's more so like my nerves around presenting and public speaking that kind of get in the way. I really saw it as kind of any other business competition. I really didn't think I was going to win that one. I was like, oh, cool, trip to Florida, I'll get my tan. It wasn't that part of Florida, it was Tallahassee. It was still like such an incredible experience, and just the opportunity to pitch your company and get feedback is one of the most valuable things to young entrepreneurs, and something I think we really take for granted here on campus. Out in the real world, it's hard to get people to listen to you. But here, everybody's like, give me your idea, let me give you feedback, let me give you help, they want to help you so much, and it's so incredible. I don't think I answered the question fully or properly.
No, you did. It was very insightful. I really relate to that. Like, I think like here, there's like, sometimes I personally feel like I have such a large network that I don't know what to do with it. And don't know how to ask for help, or don't know like, where to look or where even to start. And I've recently, like, I'm a senior now, and like I've been having so many like epitomes where I'm like, damn, like I wish I did that. It's such a universal feeling, because I remember being told by my upperclassmen friends, like when I was a freshman and sophomore, they're like, oh, like you're gonna have so many moments like these, and I was just like, yeah, okay, like, and then here I am, like I'm thinking about, wow, like I wish I got this done, I wish I did this or looked into this opportunity.
Hey, I mean, rumor has it the iSchool has an incredible grad program, so
yeah, definitely. I'm definitely like excited about grad and all that kind of stuff, but also nervous. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, like I guess like following up on this, like the previous question, after your success in like the startup world, let's say, like what led you to kind of transition to a role in JPMorganChase, and how do you think like the background that you have influenced the decision to make this transition as an analyst for JPMorgan?
So I actually, most financial firms recruit 3 years out. So I interviewed and received my offer, or I applied June going into my junior year. I applied a year in advance. Heard back that September or October that I had gotten the role. That was such a great moment. And I ended up interning for them summer going into my senior year, and I worked in the payments division on the strategy and planning team. So I would say it's more managing these other product teams. So the team that works with Zelle, a whole bunch of our, I would say product teams within the payment space, which was a really fun experience and really learning about the corporate world a little bit more. And then came back here, really dove into Continual. Fun fact, with IDS, you can take 6 credits for your towards your business and just work on it. So that's what I did. Senior fall, I took 23 credits, and let me tell you, I worked the bones out of those 6 credits. I was on my couch every night, typing away, learning, researching, just trying to grow myself as an entrepreneur and grow my business. By the end of my senior year, I had received the offer for full-time from JPMC right after my rotation. And I took it because I wasn't sure if I was going to stay, apply out, or continue with Continual. And I would, thank God, but I was at this point in my company where I had my business plan done. I had investors lined up. I had my wireframe. I had my developers. I had really all of my ducks in a row. And it was, do I go to my 2-year rotational program in which I work 3 different positions, each for the course of 8 months for the next 2 years? Or do I spend the next 2 years being an entrepreneur? And while I love entrepreneurship so much, I wanted to focus on my career and not just that. So sadly, I had to just put a pause in it and hopefully get to pick it back up soon. But I went to the program, and it's been an incredible experience. Right now, I'm in wealth management in the marketing department on the digital sales team. So we work on our public website, our secure site, so when you're logged in to Chase, and on our mobile app. My role specifically focuses on acquisition strategy, so primarily running A/B tests on our websites and mobile app to garner people towards our advisor services and self-directed investing. So right now we're running a test where they seem minor, and sometimes I do struggle at work a little bit, realizing the impact of what I'm doing, because a lot of times it's making slides, making presentations that seem just so tedious and arduous, and you're just like, ugh, really? Like, what am I doing? And the test I'm running currently takes a button off of our homepage. That's it. But my friend really put it in perspective for me, and I'll circle back to how entrepreneurship in the iSchool really prepared me for this. But my friend really put it in perspective. She said, yes, while you're making a slide about this test that you're running, even if it's just a button, helps determine if 1,000 people go to this page or 10,000 people go. Because that's ultimately like what we're testing, like the efficiency of buttons and nomenclature on them. That also like depends if the firm gets $1 million or $50 million. We don't know. So really putting that into perspective and seeing the change that I can bring to the firm. But circling back to the classes, the iSchool, I felt so incredibly prepared going into my position. Started in July, and I still feel so incredibly prepared. I just wrapped up the week before last my interviews. We had 2 weeks to interview this list of managers we were given, and so I did the managers, did the follow-up. I had about 28 interviews in 2 weeks. And we have a lot of meetings every day. And I knew how applicable my skills are because my major was information management technology. I did a minor in innovation design and startups and a concentration in data analytics. When I say these skills are so incredibly marketable, it's actually ridiculous. I did not realize it fully until I was interviewing with these managers and understanding like the needs in the positions. And most of them weren't data-focused roles, or like, I really want to go into a product role for my next one. We find out tomorrow, so fingers crossed. But how applicable the skills I learned here at the iSchool are, from learning how to do Figma when I was building Continual, to learning just the fundamentals of how to identify patterns in data and understand what it means and drive meaningful change. These managers were going crazy over it. I shouldn't say that, but the skills are very valuable in the workplace, regardless of what position I was applying for. Like, one was on the real estate team for branch expansion, and they were like, we could use that skill of data analysis, long story short, the iSchool majors and minors give you such a breadth of information that I will fully say this, like wholeheartedly, you as a student cannot fully comprehend how valuable they are. From the management we learned, the organization, to learning how to do a Gantt chart with Professor Boyd. Like, all of that really are such incredibly useful skills. And I work alongside some incredible other analysts in my program, but a lot of them didn't do anything, or a lot of them don't have the background that an iSchool student does. And they have a wealth of knowledge in other areas. They are such smart people, but I think that's one thing that kind of sets me apart, is having that like iSchool background and understanding the kind of the nuances within tech, and especially within the role I currently work.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I think like for at least for me, I'm very interested in the research sector of things. I'm thinking about like getting my PhD at some point. I'm very interested in academics and just research in general.
Oh my gosh! So next time I come on here, I'll be calling you doctor. Is what I'm hearing.
Hopefully, that's the dream.
Yeah,
and I always tell people, I always like to lead that I'm an aspiring, equitable data scientist. I'm very passionate, and I've been like through my journey here, like just learning all the skills that I've learned in the ADA program. I've been able to kind of like use a very interdisciplinary way of like programming and thinking about data critically and working in critical data studies and things like that. Like I've really found like all the skills that I've learned here are so applicable to so many things. And then I have friends that are also ADA and they're like in corporate and they're working for nonprofits, or they're doing all these incredible things. I'm like,
it
wow.
opens so many doors.
Yeah.
And I think we were just talking about how like slept on the iSchool is, and not knowing about it like when we applied here. Everybody I meet, I say, take a minor in the iSchool, trust, or a concentration, or add a major. Like, anything you can do in the iSchool is, I think, one of the best things for your career. You learn so much, and firms appreciate it. I learned this during graduation, but I think we're the first iSchool in the country to offer this program. It started about 50 years ago, but to offer information management and technology. Don't quote me on that. They just said that during graduation last year. But genuinely, I reflect on my time here, and the iSchool was the best decision, or second best decision I ever made in my life. The first one was done by an 18-year-old who wanted to have a good time in college and learn a lot, obviously. And best decision, going to Syracuse. Second best decision, coming to the iSchool.
Yeah. It's insane because and this just speaks volumes to like the iSchool, because like I have questions here, and like through like one question, like you're answering all the other questions that I'm having. No, but it's like, it's such a phenomenal thing, right? Because like it's so like deeply connected and parallel to a lot of the things that you like learn here.
Literally, you can go into anything.
Yeah.
Like my G-Bag, she also was an iSchool grad. She's now working as a cloud engineer.
Wow.
Like,
That's insane.
She's doing fantastic in her career, but you can really go into anything. I'm in finance. Never thought that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But you can go into entrepreneurship, cloud computing, finance, healthcare, because especially with the data piece that the iSchool teaches, so helpful, and it really prepares you for your career, especially classes like IST 344, information reporting and presentations. While at my job right now, we do a completely different style of presentation. Just the skills you learn and how you develop as a young professional through the iSchool is unlike something I've ever seen. I always say it's the perfect mix of business and computer science.
Yeah, I agree. I really resonate with that. And I guess I like to kind of like conclude our little session here today. I have a burning question in mind.
Yeah, of course.
Because like I hear you talk so much about like your career, how much has evolved, and the pivots and the changes and all that stuff. And I guess like, do you see your career changing anytime soon? Do you see it evolving more than what it is right now? And if so, do you envision that as like a more corporate or a more entrepreneur route, or maybe a little bit of both? Like, I guess I'm curious, like from your trajectory, and I like just getting to know your story right now, I can like, it just feels like there's like a lot of like
twists
movement,
and turns, yeah.
But it's so exciting because like I feel like every single, like from what it sounds like, every single like turn has been an enlightening experience for you. So like, what do you think that future looks like for you?
So I finished my program in around a year and a half, and we place out. So once we complete the program, we place out somewhere else in the firm we apply. So my hope is to stay with the firm once I graduate and use that to move abroad for a little bit.
Wow.
I think it's an incredible opportunity that the firm has. So staying with them for a little longer, but ultimately I really want to get back to entrepreneurship. There's another program that, honestly, I think I'm too far along in my journey to be applicable for, but it's called Entrepreneurship First. Highly suggest people look into it. So hopefully doing that, just getting back to my company a little later, I would say probably in my, I don't want to call it my late 20s, but oh, I'm so old already, I'm 23. But with the twists and turns, and I honestly, full transparency, started doing this around 3 weeks ago, and I saw it on TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's really helped because, I don't know if you know, it was all over the news, JPMC went back full-time, RTO, returned to office. We used to be hybrid.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that transition was not the most fun. But yeah, so the mentality, I wake up every single day and I say, today is the best day of my life. I just don't know why yet. And so going throughout my day and just saying like, today's gonna be the best day of my life. I just don't know why. You can meet the love of your life at a cafe or hit a new PR in the gym. Just thinking about everything with a positive lens. Because let me tell you, my 10-year plan hates to see me coming, considering how many changes. Like I was set. I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I know who I'm gonna be at 28. I'm just gonna have graduated med school. I'm gonna be in my residency. Woohoo! So that all changed, and pretty much 8 years of thinking kind of went down the drain. But yeah, I think life has so many opportunities. And I want to be able to do them all. I want to be able to travel. I've lived in New York City. I was born and raised there. In Manhattan, I'm back there now. But kind of getting out of the city, seeing more of the world, experiencing more, even our country, experiencing more of that. Just continuing to learn and grow as a person is really what I want to do in the next 5 to 10 years, and really making every day the best day of my life. Because I'm here. I'm on a podcast. Like, how could this not be the best day of my life so far?
Yeah,
you know?
It's so cool. Like I recently heard this saying, and I don't know where, but it's something along the lines of like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Ooh, I love
and
that.
It's such, just hearing your story, like I kind of see you kind of exuding that, right? And I think it's such an exciting thing, because as a young professional, to many iSchoolers who perhaps don't have everything figured out, which I don't think many people have anything figured out.
I'm not gonna lie, the second I switched out of pre-med, I had nothing figured out.
Yeah.
It's when you're in college, it's hard to know what you want to do.
Yeah.
I would say the smartest thing you can do, be in the iSchool. Get Excel certified.
Yeah.
Add to your knowledge area as continue to learn, continue to grow.
Yeah.
But find the resources, find the mentors. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, you're so good. I basically, I'm a liar, and I said that was the last question, but this sparked another question that just came to my mind. So yeah, I'm a liar, so sorry about that.
It's okay, me too.
But I'm just I really want to know, and I'm sure the audience would really like to know, is there one thing that perhaps was such a big lesson for you that you can share as a piece of advice for many students that were in similar positions as you, or just also young professionals trying to figure the chaos around their lives out?
Yeah. I'll say two things instead of one big thing. For people that are trying to figure their life out, no one has it together.
Yeah.
You are not alone, but understanding where you might want to learn and where you might want to grow, and continuing to do that is the biggest thing. I didn't really know that I wanted to be in finance, and now I am. But in the meantime, working on my company, it's a great experience. Just really trying to not focus on one thing, but trying to find a path that you might like, whether that's joining a fun club, trying something new. And I think we all try to do that a little bit every day, but especially when you're feeling lost, when you're feeling down, again, realize how far you've come, how successful you've been thus far, and that this isn't a stopping point, it's a chance to grow as a person. So go to the Launchpad, look at that, go have a conversation with another student. And then the last thing I would say, and the only reason I'm saying this now is because I really wasn't made aware of this, the FOMO. And I think FOMO is probably the wrong word, but having we've all gone to school since kindergarten. In August, you're preparing, and I was just starting out my role, sitting in the office, watching online, watching a whole bunch of my friends come back to campus, have that fun, feeling the kind of sadness that I'm not going back there, that me and all my friends have graduated, that my time is up, but also the feeling that it's August, I should be going back to school. Why am I not? Why am I not packing up, heading on up? Like, that was one thing that, I'm not gonna lie, I cried about it a lot. Just because I had such a great experience here. I loved learning. I loved being close to my friends, and having that recognition that I'm not coming back here. That even if I did, while I still have some friends here, like the community, a majority of my friends that were my year have graduated or now across the country doing incredible things. I would say that's like one thing that nobody tells you, especially when you transition immediately to a corporate job, that you have this sense of longing and loneliness and missing school, especially because I live on my own. I did get a cat. That helped.
I love cats. I have 3. Yeah.
Okay, once we're done with this, we're gonna gap about cats.
Yeah.
But just understanding that you are not alone in that feeling. That almost every graduate I've talked to feels that way, and also talks about the fact that it's not talked about. I would say, like, brace yourself for that. Understand that it's a natural part of life, and sometimes moving on takes a little bit longer, and those emotions kind of grip you. But campus is always here, and I always love coming back and really supporting it as an alum. Like the iSchool, you can still watch games. And sorry to end it on what feels like such a sad, depressing note.
No, it's not. I think, like, I don't know. I feel like throughout this whole thing, I'm just like really grateful that I've been able to like listen to some of the wisdom that you have to offer, even though you're so young and you're also still figuring it out. It's definitely like really inspiring, and I know that for most of the audience, like, they will really resonate and take something out of this podcast today.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
So, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And sharing your knowledge. I'm really appreciative. And I'm also really excited to learn more about your cats. But,
oh my gosh, yes.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
KatyArons, and follow the iSchool on all social media.
Follow the iSchool.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.